When a regular company needs cash, the path is pretty clear, right? They issue shares, they sell bonds, and they promise a financial return on that investment. But what about organizations that aren't chasing profit, the ones whose main goal is to do some good in the world? How do they raise the money they need to make a real difference? Well, today we're going to dive into this really fascinating and new world of social finance.
I want you to imagine something for a second. Imagine putting your money into a project where the dividend you get back isn't cash, but a stronger, better society. Instead of a monetary return, you get to see a tangible social impact, the proof that you funded something that genuinely helps people or the planet. This is the whole idea we're exploring today, where your investment is, in essence, a donation with a very specific and very measurable purpose.
So, how does this actually work in the real world? Well, one of the most innovative tools that's come along is something called a zero coupon, zero principal bond. It's a bit of a mouthful, so we'll just call it a ZCZP for short. This is a unique kind of financial instrument designed specifically for nonprofit organizations, or NPOs, to raise money through what's known as a social stock exchange.
Now, to really wrap your head around what a ZCZP is, the best way is to compare it to a regular bond that you might already know about. With a conventional bond, a company pays you regular interest. Those are called coupons. And then, at the end of the term, they give you your original investment back. That's the principal. A ZCZP, though, it's completely different. You get zero coupons and zero principal back. It basically flips the entire script on what a bond is even for.
Honestly, the name tells you everything you need to know. Let's break it down. Zero coupon means, well, you don't get any interest payments along the way. And zero principal means that your initial investment, that money you put in at the start, you don't get that back either. The crucial thing to understand here is that you are not investing for any kind of financial gain. You're funding a specific social project, and your return is seeing that project succeed.
So what does this look like from beginning to end? Okay, first up, a nonprofit organization comes up with a project. Let's say building a new health clinic in a remote village. They issue ZCZP bonds to raise the money for it. Then you and I, the public, can invest, and the minimum amount is kept really low. We're talking around 1,000 rupees, so that lots of people can participate. After that, the NPO takes all those funds and actually builds the clinic. And this next part is so important. They have to report back on the social impact. They have to show that the clinic is built, it's staffed, and it's serving the community. And finally, once the project's goals are met, the bond has done its job and it's terminated.
This probably has you thinking, wait a minute, if I already know I'm not getting my money back, what is the actual risk here? What am I, as an investor, or maybe more accurately a donor, really on the hook for? It's a totally different way to think about risk, isn't it?
And here it is. The risk isn't financial. You've already accepted the money is a donation. The real risk is that the nonprofit doesn't deliver on its promise, that the clinic doesn't get built, or maybe it gets built but doesn't have the supplies to operate. The risk is a failure of the mission itself.
So how do you guard against that risk? Well, it's pretty much the same thing you do before buying a company's stock. You do your homework on the NPO. This means really digging into their vision. What's their strategy? Who's in charge? You should look at their financial statements. But most importantly, you need to check out their track record. Do they have past social impact reports you can read? Doing this research, this due diligence, is absolutely essential to make sure your contribution is going to a place that can get the job done.
Okay, so ZCZP bonds are a really powerful tool for nonprofits. But what about social enterprises? The companies that are actually for-profit but still have a social mission at their core. For them, there's another really important instrument we need to talk about, the Social Impact Fund.
Honestly, this is the simplest way to think about it, and it's a perfect analogy. You know how a mutual fund pools money from tons of different investors to buy a whole portfolio of stocks? Well, a social impact fund, or SIF, does the exact same thing, but instead of stocks, it invests in a portfolio of social enterprises, companies that are specifically designed to create positive social or environmental change.
And one of the biggest things that makes these funds so cool is how accessible they are. A traditional alternative investment fund, an AIF, might need a minimum fund size of 20 crore rupees, and for you to invest, you might need to put in at least 1 crore. That's a huge barrier. But look at a social impact fund. The numbers are way, way lower. A fund size of just 5 crore and a minimum investment that can be as low as 2 lakh rupees in some cases. This just opens the door for so many more people to get involved.
So you might be asking, why go through a fund instead of just picking a social enterprise myself? It's for the same reason a lot of us choose mutual funds over trying to pick individual stocks. Expertise. The people managing the fund, they do all the heavy lifting. They do the research, the vetting, the constant monitoring, all to make sure the money is being used effectively and creating that positive change. Yeah, they charge a small fee for their work, but in return, you get the peace of mind of professional oversight.
All right, we've covered two very different but equally exciting ways to fund social good. So let's just take a moment and quickly recap the most important things to remember from all this. So here's the bottom line. ZCP bonds. Remember, those are for nonprofits. Your return is purely social, not financial. Then you have social impact funds. Think of them like mutual funds, but for social enterprises, and they're much, much easier to get into than traditional funds. And for both of them, what's the biggest risk? It's not about losing money, it's about the mission not being achieved. And that's exactly why doing your own research is so, so important.
Now look, these instruments are still pretty new, and they're definitely going to evolve over time, but they represent a really major shift in thinking. They offer a structured, transparent way for us as individuals to directly support the causes we really care about. So the real question it leaves us with is, are we looking at the future of how we fund social change?
Hey, thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. If you found this helpful, do me a favor and give it a like, and make sure to subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into topics just like this one.